Mr Mayor, councillors, this petition, which has 4,519 signatures, was started by housing campaigner John Hadman of Brighton and Hove Housing Coalition, which I'm the chair. But for technical reasons, it's fallen to me to present it to you today, for noting and discussion and for passing to the Policy and Resources Committee for consideration. We propose that the council purchase the unoccupied building, once known as King's 2, Ocean Rooms and latterly Psychosocial, at 1 to 2 Morley Street, and open it as a permanent shelter for women and men who are homeless or about to become homeless. The council has in recent times taken steps to provide a night shelter at such venues as the Brighton Centre and Brighton Town Hall. The former is not ideal and is unlikely to be available for some time, and the latter is not at all ideal. The council recently acted swiftly to take rough sleepers off the street, and this initiative gave us a true picture of the scale of the problem, with 600 people found shelter in hotels and guest houses. What is needed is a permanent hub that can house representatives from agencies such as St Mungo's, act as a clearinghouse and as a temporary shelter while some more permanent solutions are found. It could also have space for SHWEP provision. The building at 1 to 2 Morley Street, once a club, is currently unoccupied, the freehold having been sold to London-based investors for £530,000 in 2010. It was subsequently left to club operators at a rental of £60,000 a year until closing. It should be possible to negotiate a purchase in today's market at a level that should satisfy the owners and not break the bank. And the interior would clearly need to be customised, as dormitory-style sleeping arrangements are now frowned upon. The building is in a great location and is next door to the excellent Arch Healthcare Centre. The council has shown a positive attitude in the face of campaigning by the coalition and our members, with the opening of night shelters and a more humane approach to SHWEP. Also with the purchase of such sites as Gladstone Court, the former Tana home at Tilbury Place, and developing the former Oxford Street housing office, which eventually, we are told, will open later this year, having been empty since 2014. The council show your willingness to take temporary and emergency accommodation in-house. As Councillor David Gibson is quoted as saying, it is more cost effective for the council to provide temporary housing itself. The same must also be true of tackling and solving the problem of homelessness and street sleeping by the provision of a one-stop hub in Morley Street. Mr Mayor, councillors, I commend this petition to you for consideration. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Hughes, Barry. I can't get used to calling you Mr. Hughes.
You call me Barry.
Okay. Thank you for coming, Barry. And I will now call upon Councillor Gibson as Joint Deputy Chair, Human Resources Committee, to respond to the petition. Mr. Gibson, Councillor Gibson, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Barry, for bringing the petition, which I think the signed by over 4,000 people shows how pressing an issue it is and how strong the support is in the wider community for the council to take action on homelessness. And I appreciate your acknowledgement that, thanks to nudging from the coalition and also, a political commitment from councillors, that progress has been made, and particularly pleased that the purchase of Gladstone Court, which is in my own ward, has finally seen fruition to something that I think Daniel Harris first raised as, why doesn't the council buy this emergency accommodation? Well, we've done it, and we've got the flats and we're refurbishing them, and it's decent quality. So obviously very, very sympathetic to the principle of buying buildings for homeless accommodation. It makes much more sense than leasing, and it makes much more sense than paying contracts to private landlords. So yes, it's a great principle. We've passed notices of motions to this effect, and so you won't be surprised that we're very interested, and it would refer it to the Policy and Resources Committee to look into it. I had talking to someone about that particular building, I was told, and I don't know how true it is, that it was going to be used for offices. That may just be a rumour, but anyway, we can investigate it. And the key thing is that we investigate all potential buildings. And I know that the Housing Coalition has helped us in the past with suggestions, and we will continue to do that, because it does make complete sense. And that the focus has to be, in doing what we can to find longer term, more sustainable accommodation for the people that have been brought in, some of whom, were simply just lost in secure work, and it's going to be dead easy. But there's an awful lot. There are, as you say, many verified rough sleepers who have been out on the streets, in and out for many years, are still accommodated, and that's the real prize that we've got to work towards over the next few months. And I want to assure you that I'm personally extremely committed to continuing the housing of verified rough sleepers, as has been achieved. There will be a report coming to Housing Committee on where we can go and what we can achieve, and there are difficult challenges, because the resources are not, despite the council's success in getting the grant, the resources. What
this has done is now opened up the debate for the fact that we need, in Brighton and Hove, a shelter that people don't need to be referred to, so that when people are turned out of hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning, they will have somewhere to go. Even, the police don't have anywhere to send people. The idea that we let, this isn't going to solve homelessness. It's going to solve rough sleeping. And what it also would do, if we had this shelter, it would reduce people from the trauma of sleeping on the streets, then being open to substance misuse, violence. I know personally, I couldn't even have one night on the street. I don't know about anybody else. If we can, have somewhere that the debate that we will encourage people to Brighton doesn't stack up. They will always come. The debate that, we don't want to give them a sheltered, environment that they want to stay in. This would just be a temporary measure. This is just about being decent to human beings, and having a place where, and let's face it, it's going to go up. Homeless, rough sleeping is going to go up, and having a shelter is not going to encourage them to be rough sleepers. It will just be a place where they can get shelter. COVID restrictions, would apply. The churches aren't open this year. Other services are not being open. They're all restricted, and there are, and I know that David and Jill, they've done a great job with getting people on the street. But unfortunately, there are still people rough sleeping on our streets. And this conversation has gone on for a long time. We do now have some PATs, which is good, but it's referral. We need an emergency accommodation, and it would help our NHS. Thank you.
Okay.
Very well said, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki. Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on now. I would like to thank Barry for presenting the petition.
Thank you.